Welcome to Average Indian Joe. Thank you for watching my series, The Resilient Voices. Today we are going to meet very impressive and multifaceted personality. She has a doctorate in a blockchain adoption. She is an entrepreneur. She is mentor. She is a technologist. She is wife, and she is an amazing mother of two great kids. I would like to welcome Dr. Shishadrinathan to our series. Enjoy the conversation. Dr. Sujata Sheshadrinathan, great honor to be able to speak to you after 25 years. It's a pretty long time, right?
Yeah, it is indeed very long time.
So, one of the reason I wanted to have this particular episode with you is mainly because of your impressive and multifaceted profile. I know over the last 25 years since we have talked last time, I have learned so much about you in terms of your accomplishments and your drive, not just towards the technology, but also towards the business. And obviously, as I know, you recently received Trailblazer Women Achiever Award and as well as Women in Finance Award. Such a great accomplishment, right? So that's one of the reason I said, okay, my first podcast has to be with you.
It's an honor. Thanks, Manish.
Dr. Sujata Shishadrinathan, if you would like to introduce yourself a little bit.
So I'm Dr. Sujata Sheshadrinathan, the doctor in front of my name. I hold it very dear. I have done a doctorate in business administration from the S.P. Jain School of Global Management. The doctorate that I did came to me very late in life because, unlike most people, my life moved in the opposite direction. My life started with a very premature marriage and studies and things happened after that. The kid came along very early when I was just graduating. So, whatever I did, whatever I managed to do was with a kid in tow. And like you said, you wanted to hear the stories of people. You wanted a podcast on that because these stories need to be told. I agree with you because, there's a lot of narrative and there's a lot of fake narrative out there. Generally, the Gyan transfer people are people who have not done much in life by themselves. So people who have done it need to say their stories so that many times a lot of the fake narratives are busted. And also that, there is a true perspective to whatever has happened. Instead of just, it's like having a practical experience versus book knowledge. So my life started out on a rather doddering pitch, and all I had was Baba's grace and my own ambition, and my ambition was bursting. I had to deal with a lot because all I wanted to do was to go there and make a difference to my own life and others' lives too. And along came an opportunity to start off my career in software. Back then, when the world was in India, the world was only Y2K. And well, we started out together there, Manish. And that's from where my career took off. I had worked as a, actually speaking, the deflection point occurs in everyone's life if you're open to it, if you're willing to listen to it. For me, that point occurred when, as a very new mother, not knowing anything much about the world or about working environments, I joined AppTech from where I had done my software engineering. They offered me the post because I had topped their batch all India when I gave my gave my last semester exams. But what happened there was they put me as a faculty for software engineering, which is a very difficult to teach course. And they didn't have any faculties who were ready to do that. Since I had trained in software engineering from the same institute, they put me there. It was quite shocking for me because it still is a very difficult to teach kind of a topic. About 2 weeks after I joined, at that fresh, evaluation of all faculties that was happening. And the best faculty was going to be awarded and things like that. I didn't even know what was happening because I was that new, and there were people there who had been with them for more than 7, 8 years, 10 years. So I went for it, and I didn't know what to talk about. They said you talk about anything. So I started talking about software engineering because that was the last topic I had dealt with in my own study. And the managing director, or rather the owner of Aptech at that time, happened to be there in the session I took. He clapped for me.
Oh, wow.
You know, like when you taste success first without expecting, only thing you have is yourself and your faith and your hard work with you, and of course your intelligence with you, and someone very senior claps for you. I mean, Aptech knew me well because I was one of their scholarship students. They used to pay me 500 rupees a month, for studying there. I don't want a scholarship from there. Whatever it was, he knew me. That was a different matter. But the fact that he applauded for me and that he said, if this is the one you're getting to teach software engineering, the batch is going to fly. That was a deflection point where I realized that, I'm not just meant to be a housewife. I'm not just meant to be sitting at home and doing all the regular things. I am meant for extra. It took extra effort, it took huge efforts, but that is from where my growth story started, and here I am sitting in front of you. Entrepreneurship also was a matter of chance for me. I started entrepreneurship as a bootstrapper. I bootstrapped my husband's organization. Again, I had faith in him. That's why I did that. For me, faith is a faith and gut feel. You know what you call gut feel? Which is a vibe that you get when your brain, your intelligence evaluates a particular situation or a particular offer. So in our Satyasai organization, we call it discrimination. Discrimination is not saying who's good, who's bad. You're not trying to judge. You're trying to understand which situation will pan out in what way, and which situation you can support, which situation you can enable to prosper. So when you are able to put your mind and classify situations and opportunities well, you will definitely come up with an opportunity that would give you the best returns. And the bottom line, work very hard. That's what is my story.
Absolutely. I'll just start with a couple of questions, okay?
Sure.
Because this is very fascinating and I wanted to dig deeper a little bit.
Sure.
So, doctor, and I'll call you doctor, okay?
Oh, thank you.
Because you
Thank
earned it.
you. I have won it with a lot of efforts.
So, doctor, why blockchain adoption? What was the thing that fascinated so much that you decided to, get the doctorate in that area?
So, again, the answer to that lies in the first answer I gave you. It was a question of me trying to filter out that what interested me. The doctoral journey, especially the way I did it, there's a difference between a PhD and a doctorate. PhD is a scholarly degree. It is a degree for academician, whereas doctorates is what people with work experience do, and therefore doctoral thesis is expected to be practical in nature. So you have to prove yourself in front of a panel of industry experts first before your thesis is even accepted for evaluation. So that difference that existed, that was the reason I chose a doctorate and not a PhD. Second thing, when I was studying and when I have been living life, the one thing that has always guided me is, where can I do the best? What would interest me the most? So if it is a PhD or whether it's a doctorate, it's a very lonely journey, and it's a journey that needs to hold your interest for a very elongated period of time. So you need to be able to select that and commit yourself to a thesis which will hold your interest and which you will be able to contribute to both. So that is
Absolutely.
when I was doing my coursework at the beginning of my doctoral thesis. At that time, I was scanning the environment. I was doing a lot of reading, trying to come up with a particular contribution of technology that would be most relevant to my field of work. And it worked for me. Blockchain was just coming up at that time, and blockchain has been, set out. I mean, blockchain was created for accounting. Let us be very clear of that. What was blockchain? Blockchain was created along with cryptocurrency to hold all the data of the cryptocurrency transactions. Blockchains had been proposed before cryptocurrency, but that idea never took off. Only when Bitcoin succeeded, people realized, okay, blockchains are succeeding. So, blockchain is an underlying technology. It is like an operating system level technology that people may never even understand what is happening at that level. Like you and me are talking now, you and me are come from the tech field, so we know what is an OS. Most people out there don't know what is an OS now because they're just used to turning on their Android and going on to things. Same thing will happen with blockchain. Nobody will understand what is underlying, but the benefits that come out of it for accounting were huge, is what I realized. And as I said, whenever I make any effort, I try to maximize the outcome. For me, efficiency is the most important thing in life. And it disturbs me also quite a lot because I get very obsessive about it. But efficiency is very critical. So I realized that maximum contribution that I could make would be if I studied something that was of relevance to my area of work, which was technology in finance, technology in accounting. That is how I came up with blockchain and I decided to study that.
You have a lot of knowledge on blockchain adoption, right? And I have seen a couple of your other podcasts, right? And the way you have explained is amazing because you're not just talking about the technology, but also the impact on Indian economy as well as USA economy, which is very unique, right? And I want our viewers to listen to that. But before we go there, right, I wanted to ask a couple of questions. So looking back on your career, right, doctor, what is the proudest moment in your life?
There are many. Life is a journey of many moments. Actually, for a woman, for a mother, the proudest moments do not come from her. They come from the people she created. So,
I knew that.
yeah, so there have been several proud moments, like how I was applauded in the starting of my career. There was if you remember, we used to have these people we used to call Maharathis in our mainframe zones. There was one such Maharathi who was with me in the training team, Jagdish Koladkar sir. So, sir was one day challenging me. He was a chartered accountant, again a Maharathi. He was like, today I'll sit in your session. I mean, we used to speak in Marathi. So, Puri, मी आज तुझ्या session मध्ये बसणार आहे. And he came and sat and, and I was teaching MBS. MBS is a very difficult thing to teach. And the ND told me, Sabash Puri, तू अशीच शिकवत राहिली ना, तर even your desks and chairs will start coding for mainframes. Now, that was a very, very proud moment for me because JK sir knew that technology and he knew how difficult it was to teach that, to get it across to people. Another proud moment occurred when I was selected for doctorate. I was quite shocked and surprised. I had settled into to a lot of things, and that was again a very proud moment when I was selected for it. I was myself very surprised. Our company, Basis Fund Services, which I have bootstrapped, which is our third child, Basis turned 20 last year. It was a very proud moment for us. My two children, my older one, Shabrish, he's a CA and he's done a CPA also. Again, he gives me a lot of pride in being who he is. My little one, our daughter, who was all the while only interested in stage and dancing around, turned around and became a lawyer. So she is a litigation lawyer in Mumbai. My husband is a very established persona in the fund administration world over. So these are the small points of achievements that make me very proud. That made me very thankful to Baba for giving me the opportunity and the circumstance that all this is occurring in my life. And the fact that, Swami Satya Sai Baba has accepted me as a part of his world is a matter of great gratitude for me because it keeps me grounded. It keeps me truthful. I'm capable of making a choice which is hard to make, even if it causes me some damage or even if it causes me some kind of setback. If it is the right thing to do, I will do that. I will choose that. So that strength that I have managed to gather from my life journey, that strength is something I'm very thankful to. Better than saying I'm proud of, I would rather prefer saying I'm thankful to God for it. I'm thankful to Baba for it.
I wanted to understand a little bit more on your journey, specifically as a mother, right? Because you're not just an accomplished woman, you're a great mentor too. You have trained so many kids in Sintel, if I remember, right? So teaching is in your blood, right? And obviously your son is very accomplished man, and I wanted to understand a little bit about your journey as a mother, and how this journey has taught you as well as him and in your family altogether.
Yeah, so Manish, there is no easy journey. There is no easy way out of anything. Everything is very hard. And, as a mother, so I would like to just tell this thing here that nowadays I find women, most of them who are starting their career now, talking about things that they want to take in silos. Like they say, first I will establish my career, then I will get married, then I will have a kid. So you're saying you're going to stop your career when you get married and have a kid, right? So you're saying that a married woman, a mother, cannot have a career. I want to squash that. I am sitting here, I meet so many stellar women, especially if you see the Indian PSU sector is full of women who are married, had children who are very well established now. They are sitting in huge positions. You take your LIC or UTI, SBI has even had a chairperson up there. So all of these are married women. Indra Nooyi is married. So you have, for a woman, motherhood and marriage are natural. Career is definitely something that we have to work extra hard on, but there also the fact that we are multidimensional, the fact that we are capable of multitasking like a supercomputer, actual multiprogramming, that works in our favor. We are not a man who says that either I do this or do that. No. For a woman, it is natural to see, like today in the morning, I have seen whether everybody in the home is fed or not before I came here. It is natural for us. So I don't want to suppress any part of my nature. I was just being a natural person there. Yes, I'm probably a little more intelligent, a little more hardworking than the others. That is all that matters. You're going to have to be able to sort priorities and do the right things at the right time. If you choose to be a working woman, a career person, then definitely there is no something that you have to give up. And what we gave up was a social life. And we didn't mind at all because, there's something that I very strongly believe in. I do not believe in this concept of work life balance as it is being interpreted today. Because today, the people who are talking about work life balance are probably people who work to earn. If you work for your passion, then your work is your life, your work is your balance. That is what I have realized, and every successful person I have seen so far has agreed with me or lived by this mantra. So, motherhood was something that happened very early to me. As I say, my company, Basis Fund Service, which I bootstrapped, is our third child. So we have mothered, we have fathered that particular entity also. Mothering was something that I did simultaneous to living everything else and doing a career. Actually, my second start to my career was not by choice. It was more by, I was forced into it because we had started this organization and someone needed to keep the home fires burning, as they say. Apart from that, my children have grown up with me as a mother. So they are also very independent. They have seen, kids, anybody picks up more by action than by preaching. When they see you living a particular kind of life, they pick it up more easily. We are by touchwood, we are well off when we live in India. We could have all kinds of support. But both my children know to cook and they cook very well for themselves. That is because I used to cook and I still cook. I like cooking. So mothering is something that is natural to a woman. Unless and until you want to make it artificial and follow all kind of advices that you see on Instagram, not necessary. You be yourself with your child and let the children see. Freedom is something that is paramount to any being, and freedom and democracy is
Absolutely.
something that Hinduism teaches us at the fundamental level. You need to be able to have the courage to tell your children, choose your own path. Whatever you do, the one principle I brought up my children with was I used to tell them, you want to choose to become a rag picker, I will support you in that. But there you should be the world's best rag picker. So see to it that you do that, what you have the passion for. So here as I'm sitting at the cusp of this point in my career, I am this person because I did what I was passionate about. Technology I love. And even today, people don't, my team will not talk anything that is offlandish to me because they know I'm capable of going and sitting on their seat and fiddling around with a code. Because I am at the end of the day a coder. Same thing with mothering, same thing at home. Maid does not come, driver does not come. We drive ourselves, we take care of our own homes. My children are very cooperative and I brought them up in the same mold that I exist in. Challenges were huge, massive. My son was the biggest gunda in his class. Gunda in the sense of brilliant minded. I mean, he scored a unbelievable percentage in his 10th standard after studying for 2 months. But he was so full of energy that he would be running around, jumping around the whole place. And I have always ever heard only one thing about him: he can do better. This was what I heard about him from KG up to whatever level I went to his school. My daughter, on the other hand, was always on the stage, dancing, singing, dramatics. That was her forte. Painting. She's an artist. What we call in Marathi artist manus. That is what she is. She is a person who needs a lot of freedom and the scope to be able to choose her line. So she chose to be a lawyer and goes for litigation. So mothering for me is about all that, about being able to let your children do what they want to do.
Sujata Shesh Foundation. Okay. It's incredible. I mean, I'm so proud of you, right? This is something very few of our friends must have done this, right? Maybe you are the only one who has your own foundation amongst all the friends that we were in 1997. Education, water consumption, women empowerment, and sanitation. How did you think about this? And then your contribution has been amazing. In this foundation. Just need to know a little bit more as to where exactly the impact is.
So there were 2, 3 things that led to the foundation. The first thing being seva. I always believed in giving back to the society. I was always actively involved in seva, not just as money. I am a person. I was a part of Seva Dal. I used to be deployed in a van to as a
Wow.
compounder, in a medical van, removing medicine. So I learned medicines and what treats what, and we used to remove medicines and give. So I used to go for that seva every time, every weekend. In between studying, office, home, I used to go for that seva about 5 hours every weekend, and I used to come back literally crawling from it, that tired. But that used to give me maximum satisfaction. So the first point for our organization, the foundation, was my need to give back to the society. It was not something that we wanted to do, it is something that we needed to do. And the second genesis for it was a symbiotic relationship that I share with my husband. I do not believe that a husband and wife are equal partners, that everything you have to share and do. No, a woman does something better, a man does something better, and we are in a symbiotic relationship where we trust each other, where trust is a basic element. So this other part of my symbiotic relationship, my husband, he recognized my need for seva, and we are as an organization, we are 20 years old now, and there are CSR rules that are applicable to a private limited company. So we had to commit a part of our earnings to it, which we already had done. We used to commit a part of our earnings even when our earnings was not much. So we formalized it in the Sujata Shesh Foundation. And ever since the foundation has occurred, the opportunities to make a difference to the world are also pouring
That
in.
is amazing.
So the fact of the matter, I must tell you something about our organization, about Basis Fund Services also out here. If we wanted to tell you the truth, Manish, our profit could have been at least 50% more for the last 15 years. But we were never after profit. We were after making a difference to the society. Most of our employees we picked up were people who are looking for a second lease to their career, people who had just graduated and were not able to find employment. It has costed us a lot to train these people. And to tell you the truth, most of the Indian fund administration industry, people working in it, would have come to Basis at one point of time or the other and gained all the knowledge. Without thinking about ourselves, without being selfish out there, we taught people skills. For us, it was important. It was important for my husband, Aditya Shesh, the founder, managing director of Basis Fund Services. It was important for him to make a difference to people out there. To give you a very small example, during the lockdown, many of us, including me, I'm the major stakeholder of my organization. We bought out our private equity investor in 2018. I recommended during the lockdown that we stagger salaries by at least 20 days because everything had to go offline. It was quite a serious issue. And very proudly, Basis lost 0 hours of work during the lockdown. We turned around immediately. Within 24 hours, all our deliveries were on schedule. This happened right at the end of our peak delivery period. And we had 10 days of peace because our clients were not yet active. But we were active within 24 hours. But it costed a lot. So I advised staggering of salaries, at which time our managing director took a call saying that no, whichever is a family, it's a family, right? 4 people are dependent on one salary. So whichever is a salary beyond a particular level in the organization will be released on time. All of us in the management were asked individually, do you volunteer for a stagger? All of us took about 60% of our salary and staggered 40% once in every 3 months. So we did, if we had stabilized in 3 months, we had stabilized within 24 hours. But just in case, in 3 months, if we had not stabilized, most of us in the management who volunteered for it would have lost 40% of our salary for 6 months.
That is the testimony of a good organization. Many organization actually couldn't do that, and they uh, after pandemic they couldn't sustain as well. But there are only few organizations they can actually do this for their employees and their partners. Correct.
See, it is very difficult to sustain because, Manish, not sounding rude or mean, but you shouldn't expect any gratitude from anybody you employed ever. So nobody is going to forget telling you thanks. They're definitely going to make use of you. So that awareness, helps that I'm not alone. I know that these people are going to make use of me. Fir bhi chalega, I will continue to be the good person that I am.
So that's a part I wanted to understand. This journey has been so one of the reason why my uh, series name is the Resilient Voices is mainly because I wanted to get guests to talk about what kind of resilience they showed in their journey. Correct. And obviously your journey from start get go has been very challenging, right? And you believed in certain purpose and mission, and you continued marching towards it. So in that journey, I'm pretty sure there must have been low points in your life, uh, and you did bootstrap, right? When your husband was trying to set up this company, how was the overall equation at home, as well as individuals?
You have to have a lot of faith and you have to have a lot of resilience is the right word for it. Because if I gave you a proportion, it is like for every one good day, in a week, there'll be one good day. The other 6 days will be bad. That is an entrepreneur's story. And that is a true story of every enterprise which has succeeded. So if today I give out dialogues about work-life balance, it is because I've lived that life and I know what it takes. If you say that an enterprise did not succeed or an enterprise was not able to sustain, many times you notice that the problem and the inability to continue, who do you put it on? You put it on the founders, right? And wo bhi correct hai because it is a founder's mindset that gets translated into the success of an organization. And here I'm telling you, for every 1 week of you live, one day will be good, the other 6 days will be bad. Can you imagine both of us in the same organization? I mean, I was working outside to bootstrap this organization, a home with 2 small children. My son was already 10, 15. My daughter was much younger at that time. It was a very, very tough journey. It has been a very excruciating journey. But what worked in our favor is that we never had a family. Family support हमको कभी भी नहीं था. So we never had to even spend time for that. Dono, see, every situation has a pro and a con. Because we never had family, because we never had family support, we were able to cut out on all the noise that a family's social circumstance creates. I'm using these words very carefully. We were absent from the family. Nobody noticed it because nobody wanted us anyway. So nobody noticed we were missing. We took advantage of that situation.
So you basically work very hard in a period where you're supposed to put your efforts to make sure that your future is bright. I mean, everybody has a different way of setting up their entrepreneurship path, but this I mean, I'm an entrepreneur. I have couple of startups, right? The sacrifice that you have to do as an entrepreneur is unbelievable. If you're not ready to do that, don't even start it.
Don't come for this journey. Yes, yes, I totally. So my husband calls every entrepreneur Tyagi. So if I were to go back to economics and tell you, let us talk about it practically. We won't go into the sentiments. There's land, labor, capital, and enterprise that goes into creation of any value in economics. Land, labor, and capital can exist if enterprise or an entrepreneur doesn't come in and tie the other three together. There is going to be no organization, no economic value created. So sacrifice नहीं बोलूंगी मैं उसको. I will never call it sacrifice. I personally don't use that word. I will call it my passion, my love. So if that is why I call it my third child. If you have to your child, whatever, I mean, there are so many parents out there who support children with special needs. Have you seen how they, with the love with which they do it, you know? So that kind of a love and a passion you have to, you cannot treat your enterprise as an economic entity alone.
Absolutely. So this is very interesting. So when we are we are I'm a part of one of the music global music uh, company, right? And when we are looking at that company, we're not looking as a financial tool to become millionaires. What we're trying to do is we have a purpose and we want to drive that purpose, taking care of those certain mission and outcomes, right? And in that process, enjoy the journey. That is what matters, right? One interesting thing, you have held patents for two products in the fund administrator administration and legal tech space. This is worth noting, okay? And both these areas, right, are very different. Fund administration and legal tech. Why these two uh, specifically was were considered, and what is the impact on the industry from your side?
Okay, so I taught tech entrepreneurship briefly. Now, when you are trying to create a product or trying to come up with an idea that could make a difference to the world, where do you start from? You start from your own surrounding, where you find there's a gap. You know, if there was some tool here or some enabler here, it would make a difference to the whole business scope of this particular activity. So that is where I started my journey in the fund tech industry. One of my first tasks, in fact, I joined Basis Fund Services, which was my own baby, only in 2011. And one of the first tasks I did was, it was quite unbelievable. I joined my coding skill of logic to accounting, and I algorithmized accounting steps. So what you do and how you hold a patent is also this. You make a difference to a particular area or field which did not have any intervention, any enabling intervention before, which is where Master Draft, which is my product for which I hold the product in, for hold the patent in legal tech. Master Draft is the name of the product. So we are having a challenge in proving to lawyers that it is not going to make you, it is not going to throw you out of the job. It is going to enable you to focus better. Master Draft is a tool that automates contracts and agreements, democratizes the whole process. Rather than depend on Microsoft Word to create agreements, using our application will automate a lot of things that you would do in it and reduce the process stress that you have. You can do negotiations using that tool. Everything is incorporated from a point where someone just wants to create an agreement that he has created 10 times before, just change the name of the parties, up to an agreement where every clause is going to be negotiated and agreed upon. So, you know, the whole gamut we have created there. So, it is the ability again to sense in the environment a requirement for intervention that will empower that particular situation. You'd be very aware. Awareness is a tool for key for everything, whether as a mother, as an entrepreneur, as a professor. You'd be aware of the situation you are in and keep sensing the situation for opportunities.
I wanted to touch back on the blockchain and cryptocurrency, right? Fund administration sector. What do you think the impact of blockchain? And also wanted to know cryptocurrency's future. especially with new government, Trump government, right? And obviously Modi ji. So I have heard your other podcast, and we will put the link of your podcast in our description box. But I wanted you to just give a little bit of idea to my viewers as well.
Two questions here. First, blockchain. Blockchain is a technology aspect. Blockchain has nothing to do with crypto. Blockchain can be used without a crypto from other formats. There are other ways to use a blockchain without having to necessarily use a crypto, which is being investigated and discovered now. So, blockchain is an underlying technology which will enable what we call disintermediation. I will also share the link of my paper in this with you. I published a paper recently in Financial Innovation, which is an A-star journal. So there we tested trust as a factor that affected the adoption. Why would you adopt it and stuff like that? So blockchain as a technology is something where you can replace the third party intervener to any transaction. So now you can imagine where all you can use a blockchain. You can use a blockchain in many places. See, people started using blockchain for things like sharing certificates and all that. I asked them what was the need for it there. You could just put it in a DigiLocker. DigiLocker is still immutable. Immutability is not the only feature of blockchain. Blockchain will succeed in all those areas where there is disintermediation. So the blockchain world is huge, and what happened was that before the technologists and before the technocrats started speaking, the marketing guys oversold blockchain. They are needed, but they oversold blockchain into all areas where it was not applicable. And people like me had to do the tough job of asking, what exactly do you need a blockchain there for? So that is blockchain. Second, crypto. Crypto is a very powerful tool if used in the correct way. Bitcoin personally, so Bitcoin was not too old when I started studying it, when I started learning things about it. So if you ask me personally, I would think Bitcoin was initially started as a gambling tool. It has got absolutely no legal validation. You don't have to give any proof of where the money came from. There is no KYC done. All you had to do was to go and park, I call it blood money, like blood diamonds. All you had to go and do was park the money there. After that, its valuation is determined by pure speculation, which is speculative to that extent. I mean, there are people out there who still don't trust the stock market. I'm like, are you crazy? You're creating value there. You're putting money into companies which are using it for production. Of course, there's an element of sentiment and speculation there, but that is very minor now. Nowadays, it's very minor. You come to crypto is only speculative. So how is this world going to change and make crypto the powerful tool that it can be? Regulations. See, I call it crypto. I will still take some time to call it cryptocurrency, because currency means something. See, I again, going back, I understand accounting. I understand economics also very well. I have learned economics and I understand tech. So crypto cannot be a currency unless and until it is regulated.
My wife says the
Yeah.
same thing.
So you have to first regulate it. So there is hope and there is expectation that the Trump government, because if you notice in the crypto ball, there were enough bankers, enough people there who had come looking for any assurance around regulations for cryptocurrencies. Cryptocurrency must happen. It is a future of currency. But for it to become currency, I do not know how it will work if all this blood money got regulated just because they put it into that. But along with the blood money people, a lot of people with regular white incomes have also been prompted to put the money into it. So for their sake, I do hope we come out clean from it. But to which extent we are going to come out clean remains to be seen. And I would definitely say that there is a lot of expectations from the Trump government, Trump administration, to regulate cryptocurrencies so that the world can get the benefits that particular crypto environment can offer us.
Absolutely. Thank you, doctor. Are you a spiritual person?
I must have used the word faith in this podcast more number of times than any other word.
Yes. That's why I said it. Are you spiritual?
I'm born in India. I'm born a Hindu. So all of us, from our Namkaran time, from the time, when we pop out, probably there's a grandfather chanting something somewhere. There's a grandmother sitting and praying to her God. So we are, for me, spiritualism is a part of life. For me, spiritualism is my ability, as I said, to choose the right path, They're the spiritualism for me. So if I interpret spiritualism as practical spiritualism, spiritualism is not about sitting in a room and chanting away to glory. It is the ability to carry the learning from the chants onto your regular life. And of course, I'm from Mumbai. I'm a complete Mumbaiker. For me, God is the one who sits at Siddhivinayak. Yes, I am a very spiritual person in it that I implement spirituality in my daily life. I feed everybody I see. Maybe that is a mother in me. I share whatever I get. So, yes, I am in that sense. I am a Sarva person. I believe in the equality of everyone, of every dharma. And yes, I am spiritual in that nature. Yes.
So, do you spend your time to meditate or take some time away from your busy schedule?
Meditation and pranayama are a part of me. That is not something I can remove from myself. Yoga, pranayama, meditation, I cannot. I'm so deep rooted in that I can't distinguish it from myself. It happens to me naturally. Now, after years of practice, of course. I do manage to get some time for myself. I live in Mumbai, so the managed time to get for myself is when I travel to office. And during that time, my most precious equipment is this thing in the ear. I listen to whatever type of music that I like. If there is a regret in life, it is I lost my dancing feet, and that's not something that is something I'm a little sad about. I used to dance a lot. Wo nikal gaya. So you will pay some price for success and for living a particular type of life. Everybody pays a price. But, if you can, in the later stages, when your challenges are reducing, get back to your passions, it works. So my personal time, I love reading. So, I want to tell you one thing. There was a deflection point that occurred later in life also. My husband bought me a Kindle. So that was a time when, I had not read for a long time. After Chennai, I had stopped going to the library. There was a library very accessible to me when we were living in Chennai. So I used to read a lot. So वो निकल गया था. So about for 5 years, I had not read much and he gave me a Kindle. When the Kindle came, I realized that my reading speed was the same as what it was when I was in my teens. That was one thing. Second thing, I used to attend Hindi music movie song shows. And I remembered the lyrics of songs that were written before my mother was born. So that was the second thing that happened to me. So two things, happened simultaneously. One was my reading speed was intact, and second, my memory was intact. And because as a mother, or facing all these challenges, you get out of touch with yourself. And the third thing that happened was I was spending too much time in evangelizing causes on social media and getting into unnecessary, what do you say, kind of skirmishes with people. I would say call it skirmishes, not even drama. It was a proper skirmish. So these three things, when I realized, as I say, awareness of where you are. And when these three things, I realized what was happening, I said that, abhi kuch karna padega. I'll have to put myself to better use. And that was the start point of my doctorate. You won't believe what I did. I had written my GRE when I was 28 and I had scored, how much does one study with 2 kids in tow? I had studied as much as possible. I had scored some 297 in TOEFL out of 300 and in GRE I scored 2100 out of 2400. And I was sitting on it and we had a very close friend who was from IIT Bombay there in US and he was like, what are you talking? That is IIT score. I said, I'll show you, that is my score. He was like, and you are sitting here holding your children and your family, just get out, go out there. So, I was able to mimic that again much later in life at 43 when I realized all these things. I was able to get into NMIMS ka management. Whichever management exam I was writing, I was succeeding. And that's when one of the counselors at SP Jain said, Madam, don't you think you're already a postgraduate and you have more than 20 years of work experience? You're too senior for an MBA. Why don't you do a doctorate? So, and since I was having the reading skills there, my memory was fine, and I didn't want to get into wrong things with my time. That was the genesis of my doctorate. So, awareness of your situation, that again comes with pranayama, meditation, and yoga. It creates in you the ability to be conscious all the while. A conscious living is a stress-free life.
You're absolutely right. And just you also teach entrepreneurship, correct? This is something you do as a professor, right? As a visiting professor. And so my last question is for the young entrepreneurs who want to start something, right? You've gone through the journey and you've enjoyed the journey. You're a techie person, you're a business person, you have accomplished so many things over last many years. What is the one advice that you would like to give to our viewers who are upcoming entrepreneurs?
The advice that I said right in the beginning, don't work for money. As long as you're in employment also, that works, working for money works. But as an entrepreneur, working for money is a first stumbling block. Choose to do that for which there is a requirement in the world, that which will make a difference to the world. Choose to do that which you have a passion for, and choose to do everything that you do for others, not just with you in viewpoint. You must be, as an entrepreneur, able to create value and be creating this. See, what I find most entrepreneurs doing nowadays, now it has reduced considerably in the last 2-3 years, but everybody wanted to have a startup and sell it for some crazy money. I am like, those kind of things may have happened to one of lucky person, but a person like me who's incredibly unlucky in life, only hard work and real ideas work. So there is something that, if you do something that is fundamentally correct versus depending upon your luck. So if you want to be fundamentally correct, sense your environment for an idea that will add value to others' lives, that adding value and that idea must be in your sphere of expertise, and do things that are fundamentally right, which will add value, not just add monetary value.
Absolutely. I think I just like I said in the earlier, right? If you don't have a purpose to solve some problem, right? Then whatever you start, right, it will not have a meaning unless you drive that purpose.
Totally right. You're right.
Doctor, thank you so much for your time. Right? It's been a pleasure having this conversation with you. I know it's been 25 years. We
Yeah.
haven't seen each other, but this has been a great pleasure, and obviously, our friends will be happy to see this first episode.
I know. I'm waiting for the
It's a
group's
surprise for them.
Yes, I'm waiting for the group's reaction to this.
But thank you so much, Doctor, for meeting us and spending some time with us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Manish.
I hope you enjoyed the conversation. Dr. Sheshadrinathan's journey of commitment, innovation, not just across the industry, but to the community, is nothing short of remarkable. It was great pleasure to meet my friend after 25 years. These are the stories we will be capturing in this series. So, if you are entrepreneur, business owner, artist, writer, actor, or social worker, please fill up the application form from the description box. And I would love to have you as my guest. Please subscribe to my channel and stay tuned for the next voice. Thank you for being part of Average Indian Joe. Good night.